Good evening, everyone. My name is Susan Reyna Guerrero, and I am here today with Yvette Johnson-Hardwick, Resource Development Director of Beacon Therapeutic. For the next 30 minutes, you'll be hearing about what we do at Beacon and Yvette's role at Beacon. I'd like to remind everyone that this is a live call-in show, so if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to call us. The number is 312-738-1060. We do best if you do call in, because otherwise we'll just keep on talking the next 30 minutes. So as I mentioned, my name is Susan Reyna, and we represent Beacon Therapeutic. Just a little bit of background. Beacon has been around for the past 43 years. We started off as a therapeutic day school, and since then we've really evolved to a multi-service location. We do have several locations. That is our website, and that's the number 773-298-1243. That number can be called, and you can be connected with the different offices. We have administrative offices on 103rd Street. Our Cal Park location houses our junior and senior high school. Our Longwood campus houses our elementary school, along with our intensive outpatient programs and our Little IOP, and our homeless outreach services program, where we're delivering mobile mental health services to homeless women and children. I'm very happy today to have Yvette with us. Yvette is newest to our development team. She's our resource development director, and she has extensive experience that we've been blessed to have her with us. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Yvette. What made you first aware of Beacon?
I'd be happy to. I guess I'd give you a little bit of my history or my background. I kind of fell into the nonprofit arena. I didn't really start off with my career intending to work in development, but I started off helping a friend of mine who opened up his own nonprofit, and he was really great at selling the mission and talking about the vision of his organization. But when it came down to really sitting still and doing some of the administrative aspects of it, didn't really have that talent, I should say. So I volunteered to write some grants for him, and I discovered that I enjoyed it, and I was pretty good at it. And so I think from that time on, it just kind of flowed from there. I became familiar with Beacon when I attended one of your fundraisers, actually.
I remember that.
I remember that too. It was a great, fabulous time. And was really impressed with the mission. I am a mission-driven person, and I think that's why I tend to gravitate towards nonprofits. And looked at Beacon and what the agency has been doing with homeless families and children and children with special needs, and thought, okay, well, they're really on top of their game, and that was very impressive to me. And so that's how I became attracted to it, which I think is how a lot of people become attracted to any
mission.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and how long have you been with us now?
I've been with Beacon since January of this year.
Oh, goodness.
So
God.
I know.
It feels like it should be longer. So tell me a little bit about, Beacon's a multi-site service organization, and we have lots of partnerships. And I think, we work with Heartland, we work with our Corporation for Supportive Housing, the Night Ministry. What's the importance of having partnerships? And I'm going to put up some overheads as you're talking.
Okay. Well, I think the collaboration is really key. We're all in tough economic times right now, and it's really critical that we all think out of the box. Through collaborative efforts, we really have the potential to bring in even more participants to a program, and funding sources as well. Together we're stronger. We're stronger as a team, and many of us are trying to achieve more with less. And by working together, we can focus our own resources, where we are particularly good or great, and then work with another organization to do the same. And they can do the rest. A prime example is our FACT program.
Yeah, and I think the concept of collaborations or partnerships, I think what I find is so telling is that you're able to leverage everybody else's resources along with your resources and put them together, and that's the whole concept of systems integration.
Absolutely.
And that's something on a national level. I know everybody's talking about collaborations and partnerships. So yeah, FACT, I think clearly that the grant mandated that work, and I'm going to put up some information on some of our programs that will really describe some of the collaborations of what we've done. But I think within our day school, we collaborate. We collaborate with other school districts and our homeless outreach services. Clearly, this season we'll be having a number of our partners on the show in terms of talking about the different collaborations or partnerships we have there. Why don't you describe some of these other programs that I have on the overhead?
Well, we talked about our therapeutic day schools. We actually have two schools. One is our elementary school, which is located at 10650 South Longwood, and then we have our alternative high school, which is in Calumet Park or Calumet City. And this caters to students who have emotional needs or health issues or learning disabilities, maybe some violence issues in their background. There's a beautiful picture of our Longwood campus where our elementary students are housed.
And then we have, I know some of the other programs. We have our Early Head Start program that's working with children 0 to 3, which is really important. Of course, we talked about our FACT program, our Little and Big Intensive Outpatient program, our 100,000 Homes program, which essentially we're most excited about in terms of really working with the most vulnerable. And that's, again, another partnership. We've been talking about partnerships with the AIDS Foundation of Chicago, along with some of our other key partners, Heartland Health Outreach. I'd like to remind everyone that this is a live call-in show. The number is 312-738-1060. So if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to give us a call. I'm actually going to put some other overheads on some of our programs that we have. Now, I know, one of the key things of what you've been doing is really looking at what are some of the other resources that are available to programs like ours. And I know something that, you came on board and you came up with some ideas. Particularly, we have a couple events coming up in terms of the Wrigley. Describe this. I think it's a great thing that
we do. On April 21st, Beacon will be hosting a team of walkers and runners in the 15th annual Wrigley Start Early Run, which takes place in Grant Park. We're really excited about this. We'll be out there, stretching and running, and some folks can do a mile walk, or you can participate in a 5K run or a 10K run, or you can cheer from the sidelines if that's what you like to do. And we'll be participating with about 14 other agencies who are really there to advocate for children and to advocate against abuse of children. The kickoff is at 9 o'clock, and so we hope that you can come out and join us. If you'd like to register for the event, we can direct you to the Wrigley site at www.wrigley.com, or you can certainly come to our website, which is www.beacontherapeutic.org.
And I know, the whole point of having a development team is to really expand the resources that are available to non-for-profits. And I think this kind of reflects something different that we're trying to do. And I know there's another homeless run that we're trying to get involved with as well. It's Run to End Homelessness, and I think that's coming up in June. And that's coordinated by another partner of ours, Primo Center. And there's going to be a number of other non-for-profit folks that work with homeless families and homeless children that are going to be working that as well. And then I know Beacon has another event, the Beacon Bash.
We've got a Beacon Bash coming up in July. That's a more laid-back, fun atmosphere up on the north side. Time for folks to come and network. There's live music. There's great food. We'll have a small silent auction. We're always trying to introduce more people to the agency. And I think at this event, we tend to draw a little bit of a younger crowd, which is always great, because we want younger folks to spread the word as well. So that will come up in July.
How do folks get involved with non-for-profits? I mean, what should be some of the criteria in terms of helping, non-for-profits?
I think people gravitate to what they feel an affinity to. What makes them passionate, or what makes them angry, or, something that they feel like they can contribute to. Certainly that's one of the reasons I was drawn to Beacon, and probably the same reason that you were as well.
Yeah.
Over how many years ago?
Way too many years ago.
Okay.
25 years ago? Or something like that.
But I think in general, just as human beings, we're drawn to something that we care about.
I'm going to put some other pictures, and actually, I have some information on the Beacon Bash. So this year's Beacon Bash is on Thursday, July 26th from 6 to 9. It's at Joe's Sports Bar, and he's been a great, the owner of Joe's has been a great supporter of Beacon and what we do. So it's a great time, and hopefully people come out. If you're interested in coming out, the number is you can call us for tickets, 773-298-6441. And also it's on the website as well. I'd like to remind everyone this is a live call-in show. The number is 312-738-1060. And as if on cue, we have a caller. Caller?
Yeah. Hi, yes. I was wondering if there was something that people could do if they weren't going to help in the financial arena. Is there other things that they could do in kind, volunteer opportunities, Could you suggest some of those things?
Sure. Thank you. Good
Absolutely.
question.
Absolutely. We're always looking for people to volunteer their time and their talents. A prime example of that is a young lady who has been helping us with some art design for one of our brochures, and we hope that she'll be helping us with some things as our other special events come up, with some signage and programs for the event. You know, people may be interested in joining our board of directors or coming in to help out in the administrative office in some capacity. We need help with mailings, or we may have need in the schools, you know, helping with some of the children. So I think that there's a little bit of something for everyone to participate in, and feel free to call the development office at the Beacon Therapeutics 773-298-1243.
I think so I think actually that's excellent, because what we've seen this year is an increase and people just calling to say that they would like to volunteer. So we're fortunate this year. We have a great intern that's doing tons of time with us. His name is Mo. He's been fabulous. And I think through him we're able to get some other volunteers as well. So I love the fact that we're able to get young folks in with all their creative, ideas, both creative ideas and their technology savvy ideas, which is great. But I think also we're always accepting donations. We have our Fresh Start kits. We work with folks who really have nothing. So, many times if we have folks moving, they're buying new furniture, they will call us, we will send our van out, and we will pick up the furniture. If somebody refurbishes their house, or they're downsizing and they don't need the extra bedroom set. So we get donations of furniture. We're always looking for baby items. We have diaper drives and formula drives. So there's a lot of in-kind gifts that we get.
Personal hygiene items.
Personal hygiene. So, and I know we've had some great folks in the community that will have their holiday parties, and instead of bringing, gifts or something, they will say, bring, hygiene things, and then we'll pick that up for a lot of our moms. So, like for Easter, we try to do baskets for all of our kids, and for these, back to school, we have back to school drives. So there's lots of opportunities where people can contribute. But I think it's really exciting, the fact that we're getting some actual people coming in and wanting to volunteer their time.
Absolutely.
And I think the goal is, of course, the agency benefits, but we also really feel that we're providing an opportunity for folks that are getting out of school to really feel like what it's like, and we're creating the next leaders in this field, and that's what we always need to be doing, is kind of creating leaders. So it's a great opportunity. So I'm going to put information. Okay, there's the information on the Beacon Bash. Can you tell me what are some of the other events the Beacon does?
Well, coming up in November, on November 30th, we will host Beacon's 20th annual holiday dinner, and that's held at the Longwood campus, which is our elementary school. That's a really special night. That's our largest fundraiser of the year. The school is transformed into a twinkling, delightful venue with music and wonderful food, great food, a huge silent auction with some really fabulous items. It's a great event. It's always well attended. That was my first introduction to the agency, and I think that people will have a really wonderful time. We're planning it as we speak, but as people continue to visit our website, you'll see information that's updated on a regular basis on that event.
Yeah, and I think for that opportunity, there's lots of ways that people can help out. We look for corporate sponsors and donations for the asylum auction. Of course, people to attend, people to volunteer to help that night. So I think that's another opportunity where people can kind of give back. What are your thoughts on people's obligations to help? Or do you think it's an obligation? What are your thoughts on that?
I hate to use the word obligation, because it almost sounds like punishment, and that's not what it is. I think that people genuinely want to help something that they feel passionate about, or that they feel that they can make a contribution, and they want to offer something that they have, whether it's a talent of writing, or, like I mentioned earlier, the art design skills. So I think that's where when people feel a need to contribute, they will contribute something that they're able to do, not out of obligation, but because they really want to.
What are your thoughts? I mean, Beacon's been around for 43 years. So do you have thoughts on it? I know you've only been here since January, but I know you've seen a lot of the history of the organization and how it's evolved. What are your thoughts on that progression?
I really think it boils down to innovation and being forward thinking. As you know, the organization started in 1968 with a group of parents who saw a need for a therapeutic day school for children who had special needs. And so they went out and they created a school. And I think over time, Beacon has continued to do that. Later on in the history of the organization, when staff started to see more and more homeless children come through the school, they said, okay, well, we need to address this. And our homeless service outreach programs were started. Another example is our copyrighted curriculum at the high school level. It boils down to thinking out of the box, staying on the cutting edge, really being in tune with what's going on in our community and knowing what the needs are, and it's taking a step out to address those needs. I think that creates longevity. That's why one of the reasons why we've been around as long as we have. And then I think that there's a very dedicated staff. I was really amazed at the number of staff who have been around for numerous years, multiple years, over a dozen years. That's tremendous. You just don't see that all the time. That speaks to a well-run organization. It speaks to their commitment. It speaks to them wanting to be part of something. And, when you're listening to staff, or when I've been listening to staff, I hear the passion that comes out. They are great ambassadors for the agency. And I think that's attributes to longevity as well. People see us doing really great things, and they see us coming out to different events to talk about what we're doing, to share best practices. That goes a long way.
God, I was going to say what makes us unique, but I think you just described it.
You can say it again.
Well, no, but I mean, and I think, somebody asked me, actually Mo asked me, 3 words about, Beacon. The other day he kind of caught me really quickly. And I was thinking we're passionate about kids. And I think you mentioned that right now. And I think it's the commitment to making a better life for the kids, which we all have an obligation to do. And I think this is part of it. And we work with over 1,200 kids annually. That's a lot of kids.
That's a lot of children.
And it's close to 800 families annually. So I mean, I think there's a lot of families, there's a lot of children, but there's so many more that still need assistance. So, and I guess taking that, are there some thoughts on future directions that you would see Beacon going?
I was looking at our strategic plan, and I think that what I just described is kind of the direction that we're moving in. But I wouldn't be surprised if another need was recognized, that we said, okay, we have the resources to help out in this area. One example is women veterans who may be facing homelessness, and we want to be able to help that population because there's not a lot of help out there for those women. And I think that just being in tune with what the issues are, Beacon is able to make those changes and is nimble enough to make those changes, or to say, okay, here's a direction that we want to move in without moving away from our mission.
So what would you say have been some of the highlights this past year, or some of the things that you feel have been significant? You mentioned the curriculum. What are some other innovative things that we've kind of done this past year?
Well, we talked about the FACT program as well. That was, we've just come off of that 3-year pilot. We're in the 4th year that works with young homeless mothers who have young children. And really taking a look at what these young mothers need: homes, maybe some therapy, and if they've got some mental health issues or some substance abuse issues, and really being able to help their children as well. Thinking ahead and thinking about these children are our future leaders, and these moms are our future leaders, and how do we get them, as contributing citizens in our community. Those kind of things are important. That's a highlight. The curriculum's a highlight.
I know we did we were part of the Chicago Tobacco Prevention Project, and that was great, and I think it allowed us to develop a new relationship with the Chicago Department of Public Health and the Respiratory Health Association. So I think we were able to bring another initiative to our families. I think right now we've been heavily involved in the 100,000 Homes campaign. I briefly touched on it before, where Beacon has been able to help develop this vulnerability index for families that will lead to essentially a mechanism for homeless families to access housing, kind of more of a direct line. And that's having local impact, but along with national impact, in terms of this tool that we've developed is something that's going to be used on a national level.
And just to let people know that 100,000 Homes is a really a national grassroots effort, and Chicago is one of the leaders leading the charge in Chicago.
I think the other piece to that is that, one of the unique features to what Beacon offers is that there is a strong commitment to hiring professional licensed staff.
Absolutely.
And I think that's something we didn't talk so much about, the agency's credentialing and approvals, but we are Joint Commission accredited. We're approved by the Department of Human Services, Illinois State Board of Ed. So I think we're also trying to establish some best practices and some benchmarks, in terms of how do we operate administratively, along with how do we operate our staff. So it's this passionate, highly qualified staff that we're able to bring to bear to deliver some of these resources that are so important. So I guess, we've talked about future direction. We talked about veterans and veteran families, because I think that's a population that's really getting a lot of visibility. There's a lot of resources that are being developed there, and I think that's something, there's lots of money that's being dedicated to help those families. And I think it's something that we're realizing there's an increase in homelessness, and so how can we, again, partner, hopefully with Department of Veteran Affairs, to really be able to get some of those resources, to start coordinating some of those resources.
And I think we do a good job of doing that outreach. We're not afraid to step out and say, okay, here we are. These are the resources that we bring to the table, and this is how we can help.
So what would you say are some of the challenges? I'm going to put up some final pictures up so you can see who it is that we're helping. So what would you say are some of your final thoughts or some challenges in terms of where do we need to go from here?
Well, I think just in terms of from a development aspect or development point of view, there are always challenges with introducing new people to the agency. We're very well known in the Beverly community. We're very well known in social service arena and in homeless services arena. But we really want more people throughout Chicago to know who Beacon Therapeutic is and to be more familiar with the programs that we have available and the number of people that we help on a daily basis. I think that's probably a challenge across the board for any nonprofit. You see these pictures of these beautiful faces of these children. It's a pizza. Oh, yeah. Looks fantastic. We just those pictures, I think, speak 1,000 words. There are these beautiful children that we are helping, but we need more help. We need more volunteers, and we're always looking for new folks to come on board and see what we're all about.
And one thing I know this year, what we're going to be talking about, over the next several Wednesdays that we're on, is really looking at some of our other partners that we've been working with and how we're really trying to develop a system where we're all working together. Because, resources are very limited. So I know we're going to be talking about to a youth provider, youth homelessness provider. We're going to be talking to a private funder because it really takes everybody to do what we're doing.
Absolutely.
And how do we leverage resources? We started talking about leveraging resources.
Yeah, I think that we do a good job of partnering and not trying to operate in with a silo mentality, and just really reach out and kind of share the wealth, so to speak. Some people would argue that the resources are limited, and to a certain extent, that may be true. However, because we all help, or not all, many of us help the same population, it just benefits and makes us stronger working as a team. Yeah.
I'm going to try and find that slide again about the Wrigley start, because I think that's something that anybody and everybody
can participate
in. So with this, again, for us, the involvement is you can participate as a runner or a walker.
Absolutely.
Or you can just sponsor one of the runners or walkers.
You can, and there's, like I said, there's more information on the Wrigley website as well as the Beacon Therapeutic website. It's a great event. I think last year there was over 2,000, maybe 2,000 to 3,000 people that participated between running and walking, and there's music out there, some fun characters, and there's some things for your children to do as well. So there's really a family event. And you can become more familiar with other agencies who advocate for children.
Well, I'd like to thank you for being on the show today.
It's been fun.
It's been fun. Great. I didn't sneeze. You didn't cough. So we did pretty good.
Yeah.
Thank you again for joining us. My name is Susan Arena, and I'm here today with Yvette, and we represent Beacon Therapeutic. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next week.